Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. A. You know I like my ABCs. This is just an ABC. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the fact is that we have a situation which I welcome. And that situation is that Vedic is saying that the full moon is in Sagittarius. Western is saying the full moon is in Sagittarius. True Sidereal is saying it's in Scorpio. And I'm saying it's in Ophiuchus. Okay. Now, the reason I'm saying it's in Ophiuchus is because we are honoring the mathematical calculation. We're honoring actually the astronomy of skystrology. And astrology of skystrology is not connected to these apps. Like Sky Safari will tell you that Venus is in Cancer, even though Venus is aligned with Procyon, which is aligned and in alignment with the Gemini constellation. So A is for alignment, okay? Has roots in linea, line, straight line, okay? Simply put, alignment describes a state where everything is positioned on a straight line. You see? In alignment, out of alignment. You see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the bottom part looks like there's so many stars, right? Like you got to have some kind of measuring, you got to have some kind of system here. Otherwise, everything is just all mixed up together, right? So, you know, anything, like let's connect the dots kind of thing. What we want is to have a way of measuring, which is the alignment, the line, and things we can measure that are in alignment. Okay. Now, this is what the sky looks like from here at the moment of the full opposition. Okay. Now, the white dotted line is our alignment, and it is in a geometric 45-degree line, right? So what the main thing you want to know is that the stars don't move from the horizon and straight up out of the sky. They don't move from bottom to top. They move like a clock. They curve. It goes from the ascendant, ascending up to the top, to the highest point that it's going to reach, depending on what time of year it is. And then it creates that curve, that 90 degree, and then it curves down to the descendant. It moves in a curve. That's why you see the yellow sun in a curve, right? And the horizon is the earth plane. That is the line. Okay, so what mistakes they're making, two mistakes people are making with these apps. One is the app that you cannot calibrate yourself can't be double checked. That's why we like Skyview, even though you've got to always calibrate it. At least when you do, you know what you're looking at. And the other mistake is the drawings. If people have the drawings up, like if they have Cancer up, the drawings don't represent the stars. They don't follow the stars. They're there like decoration. Okay, so that can be misleading for people who just using the app and going, oh, I can see the Venus is in Cancer because it's that Cancer drawing is covering it. No, that's not the case. Okay, so we have the fact that at this moment of 6:41 in the morning, my time, the moon has passed Antares. That's the big guy in the area here. And it's about 2 degrees of a focus. It's measured at 2 degrees of focus. And about 6 or 7 hours afterwards, it's going to be there. So actually leading up to, but not 180 degrees across, 177 degree across from the sun and the moon, we have Antares, right? Or the star. Then 3 degrees later, 6, 7 hours later, this is where the moon is going to be. Oh, what was the passcode? Was it moon? Carson?
You asking me?
Yeah, did you have to use a password
For what?
for the Zoom? No.
No. No.
Anyway, I don't know how it's working. Okay. So, now we have the fact that the alignment is moving into the focus space. And the alignment would have been aligned with the stars of Ophiuchus before it reached Antares. So this part, more and more and more, I'm just calling it the galactic season. It's the galactic part of the sky. We want to acknowledge the independence of Scorpio here because it's directly on the line, the path of the sun. And I kind of think of the path of the sun as this imprint, this groove, because it's never goes away from that. So it's like drawing this line in space, like this energetic line. And so whoever is closest to it, like a magnet, is going to connect to that. Okay. Now, some people will say, oh, but the moon is, not on the line like it is in the eclipse. And actually, sometimes the moon is above the line, then would not be the moon is in Ophiuchus. Or would that mean now that the moon is below the line, that the moon is in Scorpio? Okay. So what would you say to that? First of all, there's no borders in the sky. Second, it's astrology. It's the collection and observing the stars. And which stars are the brightest, because this is connected to our ancestors. Okay, so can you mute yourself if you're talking in the background? Even if the moon was high there or left or right, the stars, the brightness of the stars will not change. And that is key. Okay, brightness. Brightness is giving off much light, color, brilliance, intense, lit, gleaming, shining, star, glorious, beautiful, fair, rosy, wonderful, clear, keen, all these things, enlightened, right? So we are looking for the brightest stars in this part of the sky. And it's like the moon is measuring that, because the moon is approaching an opposition, a mirroring of the sun. And so it's showing us, oh, the opposition, this dynamic 180-degree thread connection to our sun, is that our day star, our sun, is making a connection to these stars on the path of the sun, but 180 degrees across from it. And it would depend on which brightness that our ancestors would have been able to see. And a lot of these stars, they would not have been able to see. But I can tell you, they would have seen a lot of the Scorpion stars. You can see how bright they are. And I can see this star here. I can see that star there. It's quite bright. And I can see these stars here. I can see Serpent stars as well, quite bright. Okay, because there's no stars in this green line of Ophiuchus, so it's kind of dark there. So it's not a lot to connect. And this is the other part of the snake. That's why, this is a interesting part of the sky. This is Ophiuchus, this is the serpent bearer, but these are the serpents. Okay. And so we are looking at the stars. And this moon has moved, yes, in Scorpio through that, but at the same time, when it starts to connect with Antares, it's also connecting with stars of Ophiuchus, and then it goes on and it continues to connect with the stars of Ophiuchus that are bright and that are closer to our sun's groove, the ecliptic path. And even though these stars are bright, they are below here. They're further away from the line. So even though I would say it's not for me correct to say that the moon is in Scorpio or the moon is in Ophiuchus. You could say mathematically the moon is measuring in Ophiuchus. But to be honest, this part of the sky is the galactic part of the sky. And especially you can see how the blue starts to come in, which is the Milky Way. So this, to negate Scorpio and negate Ophiuchus would be a pity in this case. For mathematical reasons, we want to acknowledge that even this case, Antares, that star, is 2 degrees Ophiuchus, but it's a Scorpion star. It's not an Ophiuchus star. So basically, what has happened is that we have attributed this part of the sky to Ophiuchus because of the movement of the stars of Scorpio that move away from this path of our sun. Now, if we think about our ancestors and what they would have watched or would have wanted to acknowledge from this part of the sky, is probably a quagmire of different energies and things happening, and definitely an abundance and a very, busy, intense energy that is only making it more powerful for us. I know I have to sign an email. Oh, okay, wait a second. Okay, I don't know. Somebody couldn't get in. I'm sorry. It's going to be a recording. Okay, so yeah, that is that. And then we have, so this is the part where we are the alchemists, we are the observers. So we know that when something is approaching, it has the intensity, especially it's approaching the opposition. So when you are conscious of the Scorpio approaching, coming from Libra energy, knowing that these stars are right on the path, then you can tap into that Scorpio approaching opposition. But what's great about it is you can then move and expand and breach further into the Ophiuchus energy, which is a new acknowledged consciousness that gives us more than just the deep waters of Scorpio. It gives us the fire, of Sagittarius and this milky part of the sky, and what I always say, it started with a focus. It really opened up a whole new understanding of the stars and astrology in our lifetime. If it wasn't for a focus, how, I don't know, 80% of people would not be looking up, right? So we have a focus to thank for that. And so we also can entertain that energy and be the humanoid, as I like to say. So we're going beyond, the scorpion. We're going into the humanoid that is bearing and handling the reptilian brain, if you will. Okay. And the brightness allows us to see. So this is a good example. The big black marks are the brighter stars, and the tiny ones are the smaller stars. So for sure, Antares is the biggest star. And you could say that if we want to acknowledge the night building up to the full moon, not at the full moon, but 6 hours before, it's a full moon, almost full moon, aligned with Antares, the brightest star of Scorpio, the heart of the Scorpio. But it is not the time to ignore the entanglement of these stars of a focus that are part of this story here, and that continue to be part of this story, because as it actually comes into opposition, it is separating from that Antares energy, and it is carrying through this Ophiuchus energy, because Ophiuchus didn't just start there. Ophiuchus is starting also around where Scorpio starts, but it's not measured there, right? So you have to think outside the box here and go back to, well, what would my ancestors have seen? Or will you observe what the energies are like leading up to the full moon, when you know, like 6 hours before, that the moon is aligned with Antares, which you can probably see in the night sky? And does the energy change as it moves away and comes into the full moon? And is really amongst the stars of Ophiuchus and Scorpio. But I think the energy is here is because Scorpio falls quite steeply down. It just falling out. But we don't want to ignore the powerful stars that it does have here and it's part of. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, no questions. Okay. Cool. And that's just to show here, these are not tiny little stars. If it has a symbol, a Bayer symbol, it has been measured for its brightness. And I think, was it here? Yes, the stars of Ophiuchus are closer than this. This is pretty close, but the other stars are not as close as the stars of Ophiuchus. So, yeah. Okay, now let me go here. Okay, so C is for the word conscious, originally derived from con, together, and co, to know together, right? But the Latin word did not have the same meaning as the English word. It meant knowing with, in other words, having joint or common knowledge with another. So this goes back to the ancestors and what it would have been like for them to use the sky as a clock, and what it's like for us now, to connect on consciously with the sky. Right? So connecting consciously. This is interesting because, consciousness, sometimes they say, is it what we see or is what we already know? Is it what we see outside or what we don't see? But what we have in our heads already. Okay, so question is, if somebody asks you, where is the full moon? What are you going to say? Carson.
Say again.
If somebody asks you, where is the full moon? What are you going to say?
Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus,
Why?
Ophiuchus.
Why?
Because that's where it is aligned in our sky.
That's right. And alignment is important. Otherwise, any constellation can be the constellation that we pick for something to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're using astronomical measurements, we're using the brightness, and the brightness is based not just on how bright that star is, but how close it is. Okay. And the stars that we see in this area of Ophiuchus are closer than the stars of Scorpius in this part as well. So, of course, it's a balance of the two. But I think it's a great opportunity, like I said, as we approach this full moon, to be conscious of the fact that we're approaching the heart of the Scorpio star, and then to acknowledge and to feel through how it feels after it passes that part and actually goes to the opposition, but is breaking away from that intense Scorpio and offering us really a chance to alchemize the energies between Scorpio and Sagittarius. So that's my 2 cents. I think it's important, and it just reiterates again how important it is to look at the sky, right? And not to be seduced by what people say or apps that, have their own system of that you can choose, you can do it yourself. And the full moon is a great opportunity to see what's happening in the sky, especially here because those stars are bright. And then you can see it move away as well. So yeah, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop recording. I'm gonna say that's a crazy recording.